Speaker. I rise as the founder and a co-chair of the Congressional Out of Poverty Caucus to continue to sound the alarm every week that there are millions of Americans in need all across America. They need our help and they need our support. Imagine for a moment if the entire population of 24 states in America were living in poverty. How would our nation respond? We would respond as we do in any emergency, mobilizing to provide these people and families with adequate food, clothing, and shelter. We would come together as a nation and work to solve the crises of poverty. We know that nearly 47 million people lived in poverty in America now, today. That's essentially the entire population of 24 states of this country. The emergency is real, and the crisis is happening each and every day in every city and every town across America. But we are not mobilizing to solve this crisis of poverty. We are not directing federal, state, and local resources to help these men, women, and children. Mr. Speaker, we are really failing those living and facing poverty. If you are facing or living in poverty, something as basic as eating is not a guarantee, and millions go to bed hungry every night. Mr. Speaker, this Sunday, October 16th, is recognized as World Food Day. On Sunday, of course, we all should take a moment and be grateful that many are food secure. But we need to think about the nearly 15% of households and over 16 million children in America who are food insecure. In fact, beyond Sunday, I hope that every member of Congress joins me and other members of the Congressional Out of Poverty Caucus later this month in the 2011 Food Stamp Challenge. Once again, as several of us did a couple of years ago, I challenge my colleagues to live for a week on what a person on food stamp lives on. That is $4.50 a day, and that's $1.50 a meal. So I hope you join us in that effort, my colleagues. Experience is often the best teacher, and I bet that even a few days on living on what a person on food stamps survives on day in and day out might just bring us together to work to address the crisis of poverty. We know what we need to do, really. The pathway to addressing the crisis of poverty, to boosting our stagnating economy, and reducing the same one, create stable living wage jobs. The most effective anti-poverty program is an effective jobs program. When a family in poverty gains a living wage with good benefits, the family stops relying on government services, and that family begins to pay into the tax base instead of drawing from it. When jobs are created, it boosts demand, which helps to create even more jobs, which is what tax cuts for the wealthy, quite frankly, have always failed to accomplish. So we must come together and pass the President's American Jobs Act and support those initiatives that create stable living wage jobs. But while we work to create new jobs, we cannot forget that there are millions of Americans who are our most vulnerable. There are millions who face hunger, millions who have been looking for a job for more than 99 weeks, and millions of Americans who are losing their homes and struggling to keep their vision of the American dream alive. We must protect the vital safety net programs that support these people in these very hard times from the draconian and short-sighted budget cuts by the so-called super committee. We cannot balance the budget on the backs of our most vulnerable. Poverty is real. It's rural, it's urban. People of all backgrounds, all ethnic backgrounds are poor in our country. And so I hope we can finally, at least on this issue, end the extreme partisanship and really stand united in a bipartisan way and as a nation to create jobs and to address the crisis of poverty ravaging our nation. Thank you, and I yield the balance of my time.
The gentlewoman yields back. The chair recognizes the gentleman from California, Mr. McClintock, for 5 minutes.